You're live.
All right, good evening. Welcome to the January 14th, 2025 Mercer Island Utility Board hybrid meeting. I'm Will Quantz, the Vice Chair of the Utility Board, filling in for Chair O'Connell, who as of now is unable to be here today. Tonight's Utility Board meeting is being broadcast via live Zoom and the city's YouTube channel. We welcome anyone wishing to watch the meeting to join us via Zoom or to join us virtually. Welcome and thank you for joining us tonight. Board members, please ensure your microphones are turned on for roll call. Will staff please call the roll?
Chair O'Connell, Vice Chair Quantz,
Present.
Board Member Marshall, Board Member Blair, present. Board Member Milton,
Present.
Board Member Olson,
Present.
Board Member White, Council Liaison Jacobson.
Present.
We do have a quorum.
Excellent. Staff, is there anyone who signed up for appearances that wish to address the utility board?
No public appearances this evening.
Excellent. So I think we can move on to our first regular item of business, is to review and approve the minutes from our last meeting. Is that correct?
We do not have the minutes from the last meeting in this packet. We will present them at the February meeting.
Okay. Jason, can you help me remember what our first order of business is tonight?
So we actually have only one order of business tonight, and that is the Recology Annual Report. And joining me this evening, I'll just go ahead and do the staff introduction. So joining me this evening is the Recology team. We have Alyssa Campbell and Anthony Bricado from Recology. From your staff team, we have a handful of staff in the background here, but Recology is actually going to lead this exercise this evening, and I believe I'm passing it to Alyssa to start off with. And you have the PowerPoint at your fingertips, or do you need us to pull it up? You have it? Perfect.
Thank you for the introduction, and also just thank you for the time this evening to kind of do a year in review. I know we do this every year, so really excited to talk about 2024 with you. As Jason said, my name's Alyssa Campbell. I'm the Government and Community Relations Manager at Recology King County, and I've been working for the company for about 3.5 years now. I was actually here at the last board meeting, so some familiar faces here. I'm excited to see you all again. And then, as Jason mentioned, our Senior General Manager of Recology King County is here as well. That's Anthony Bricado. And from there, I'll get it started, and I'll see if I can share my screen here. All right. Can you all see my screen? I'm going to assume yes.
Yep.
Awesome. All right. So 2024, lots of exciting things going on. First of which, we've got the first year of the fixed annual charge that went into effect. So as a reminder, this was implemented through the county. It was basically a way to adjust the fees that are provided to customers to make sure that as diversion increases and tonnage sort of fluctuates, they're able to still run the landfill and transfer stations. So this first year, we had a lot of outreach to explain what was going on to residents and also to the city. So, it's been an ongoing conversation, but the county has also provided out sort of one-pagers. Our customer service team has been fully equipped with, background information to share if we do receive calls. So overall this year, we did not receive a lot of inquiries related to the fixed annual charge. I think it went over relatively smoothly as it was implemented. Just as a reminder, Recology opted to separate it out on invoices and also on our rates so that sort of a separate charge was very clear to folks. And then moving on here, we have had continued enhancement of staff recruitment for both our operations and customer service teams. So we kind of mentioned this last year, but this past year was sort of a full year of seeing the fruits of that, so to speak. So we'll talk about that a little bit more with the customer service and operation slides. In addition, we've had a very exciting installment of robots at our recycling facility here in South Seattle. So just recently, we added 2 robots that are helping us recover materials from the residual line. So the residual line is basically that last portion of our recycling facility where mostly it's it's supposed to be trash, but there are times where there's a bottle or a can. So this is our way of there's no cans left behind. And we've also got 4 more robots that will be installed this year as well. So a total of 6. We're very excited to have that project completed in full, and hopefully we'll be able to kind of advertise that out and definitely welcome you all to visit our MRF and see that in action. Additionally, we've added service verification cameras in our trucks. So in 2024, the way that this looked was kind of additionally or gleaning more data on how that technology impacts our operations and what we're able to glean from that aspect. And then kind of in addition to that, we've had revitalized IT systems. So if you can remember, we had a cyber incident the last winter. And so in response to that, we've kind of bolstered those systems, enhanced them quite a bit, and it's done really well for us. There was a CrowdStrike incident, if you can remember, back during the summertime, and we were virtually not impacted by that. So again, very successful update to those systems. And then we've also had some enhanced customer service training, which I'll talk about a little bit more here with our customer service update. So in 2024, the city of Mercer Island had an average customer satisfaction score of 4.6 out of 5. So definitely an excellent score. As a reminder, this is a voluntary survey that customers are offered as they're closing out their call with customer service reps. So based on those surveys that were completed in the city of Mercer Island, our result, 4.6 out of 5 for the year. I mentioned previously that we've had enhanced customer service training. So this has been aligned with some of the changes that we've seen with some of our truck technology, and then some company-wide initiatives that we have, increasing standardization in certain areas, and just overall efficiencies. So a part of that is due to the new director of customer service that we have on our corporate team. So they support our customer service team directly here at Recology King County, and kind of help spearhead some of that new training that's provided out to our customer service reps, and some of the updated processes as well. So that's been positive. And then moving forward here, just kind of into the actual data from 2024. So as you can see here, the volumes in Mercer Island, the call and email volumes kind of fluctuate over the year. So going back to January, that spike there can be explained by that cyber incident, which I mentioned, which kind of lasted through February. And so during that time, we were less reliant on some of our technological systems and kind of going back to basics with paper route sheets and things. So there were more misses that we experienced, so a little bit more calls coming in during that time. Some of these other fluctuations that you see here are sort of in line with billing cycles and other things that might be going on during the summer months as well. Sometimes we'll see a spike, due to weather conditions perhaps impacting operations. And then looking at average seconds to answer, we had overall hovering around between 15 and 20 seconds throughout the year. Just these last 5 months especially, we're under 15 seconds for the average seconds to answer. That's when someone's able to basically speak to a live representative. And overall, we're around that 90% mark of answered in 20 seconds. So vast majority of calls being answered in 20 seconds. And then an additional component of the data, we have average handle time. So as you can see, we have about sort of hovering around 4 minutes for average handle time. So that's just how long someone's on the phone with us on average. And then looking at the abandoned call data We actually reached 0 this year in October, so not a lot of abandoned calls. That's just basically when someone hangs up. January, February, we did see quite a few. That was definitely during the higher volume of calls that we experienced. So I did mention that we increased our customer service staffing, and we're sort of continuing to hire as time goes on, just to make sure that we're able to respond to any unusual spikes in call volumes that we may experience. So as you can see here, not very many abandoned calls, and the abandon rate is below 1% for the remainder of the year outside of January and February. And then moving on into operations. So we've got, as I mentioned, we have an enhanced driver recruitment system with our recruitment team. So finding drivers, people who have CDLs who are able to work for us. We've also paired this with our CDL, our in-house CDL program, where we're teaching skills in order for people to work well in the waste industry. So for people who already have CDLs, they can, receive tools from that current program that we have in order to have basically the best practices of being a garbage truck driver, which it's very unique compared to other, industries that require a CDL. And so we definitely, want to make sure that that's addressed as we're onboarding new employees who are operating these vehicles. And to also pair with that, we've got an additional safety trainer that we've hired. So that's really helped us just kind of keep up with hiring additional drivers, increasing our bench for driver staff, and making sure that they're trained on the proper safety procedures. And then additionally, just kind of overall performance improvements this past quarter in 2024, especially you'll see in the following slide. Our misses per thousand are definitely lower, and we have a supervisor in the field, an operations supervisor, who works in Mercer Island and making sure that if there are any unique service issues that are called into our customer service center, or a driver might pass along, that supervisor is able to go out in the field and basically provide a very catered response to what's going on. And then the last piece here I wanted to cover is that bomb cyclone event that we experienced not that long ago, where lots of trees fell. Definitely a little bit of a scary experience for many cities in King County. We responded to that in partnership with the city of Mercer Island, making sure that we're able to help get that debris off the ground in areas where it was inhibiting, road access and power and all of that, making sure that that debris was out of the city. And then just in general, Recology, frequently updates our emergency preparedness procedures. So working internally to make sure that inclement weather and things like that, we're able to respond to appropriately and work with our city partners. We definitely have a step-by-step process to make sure that communications go out as needed if service is disrupted, or if there are other needs that we have to work with the city on. We make sure that we're able to communicate those. So like I mentioned, the misses per thousand data from 2024 is here. So January and February, you'll see a little bit of a spike in those misses per thousand, and part of that is certainly related to the cyber incident. We kind of had a adjusted process during that time to continue providing service. So there were some more misses than usual that we experienced during that period of time. That's why you see kind of the stark decrease here. And then during the summer months, sometimes we'll experience, whether it be a truck issue, or folks calling off, and then us having a relief driver in the city of Mercer Island. The city of Mercer Island definitely has some unique aspects to it. So having somebody who's new for a period of time can sometimes contribute to misses that occur. So that is, partial reason for this increase here. But we'll note all of these metrics here are under the 1 per thousand miss target, but certainly the number we're at here in December is where we aim, which is very close to 0.1 miss per thousand. So looking really good, closing the year out here. Happy to report that in the last quarter, especially. Just gotta hope for no snow. So we'll just everybody cross their fingers for no snow events this year. But if we do get snow, we're definitely prepared. Moving on to this next slide here, in the city of Mercer Island, one of the unique aspects of the rates is that we have a recycling rate adjustment. So to contribute to this adjustment determination, we have two waste characterizations that are conducted for this residential recyclable stream in the city of Mercer Island. We use that information to inform the new rate increase or decrease by using the weight percentages along with prices for commodities, and then making that adjustment. So this year we had a decrease of $1.34 for residential customers and a decrease in 85 cents for multifamily customers. And this graph that you see here is basically the breakdown of what we see in the recycling stream overall on average in the city of Mercer Island. So taking the lead, we've got corrugated cardboard. Almost half of what is recycled is corrugated cardboard, as you can see here. And then following after is about a third of this amount here is mixed paper. And then, which is no surprise, right? Cardboard and paper that's the number one thing that's been recycled in the hundreds of years that recycling began. So it's always, we see that taking the lead by volume. And then following those, we've got glass. So that's about 11% of the makeup. Following that, there's about a 10% residual makeup. So that's residue is trash, things that are not conventionally fitting into the recycling stream at this time. And then following that by volume, we've got plastic. I see there's a question. I can pause really quick. I believe board member Meredith, I am happy to answer any question you've got. If you can unmute yourself.
You're on mute, yeah.
I am having a hard time hearing you. I don't know if it's configuration of the video, or if you are able to type it as well, I'm happy to answer it through the chat too. Okay. So continuing on, I guess, Meredith, let me know if I can pause and we can answer your question too later on.
Meredith, did you want to put your question in the chat, or did you want to move on?
Let me just try something. Can you guys hear me now?
Oh, I can hear you. Yes, that's perfect.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
I had to, it's a long story, but I've changed
No
the
worries.
setting here. So here's my hopefully quick question. Are these recycling commodity percentages by volume or by weight? I thought I heard you say volume.
Yeah, so it actually would be by weight. So sorry, I must have, yeah, I did say volume. Would be by weight. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, good question. Okay. And then I'll just add the last two are scrap metal and aluminum cans. So moving on here, still on the topic of rates, we've got the annual CPI adjustment. So as a reminder, the city of Mercer Island has a cap on the CPI adjustment of 5%. So if the CPI for the year is greater than 5%, then we stay at 5%. So that's what happened last year. And this year, the change was at 4.18%. So that is what the percent change was to rates, and this applies to the collection component. So looking at, yeah.
Alyssa, sorry to interrupt. So I'm not understanding why the 2023 and 2024 period. Oh, I'm seeing absolutes and percentages. Thank you. Yeah, no question.
No worries. Okay.
So Alyssa, could you just repeat that? So last year we maxed out at 5% because the CPI was higher. And that was our rate adjustment last year. Okay, thank you.
Correct. Yes. And then kind of continuing on with rates, I mentioned the FAC charge that was implemented in 2024. So this FAC is continuing on for 2025, and you can kind of see the adjustments here. between the 2 years. So interestingly, FAC has gone down by a few cents, and these line items for residential and for commercial customers. And this is in part because FAC is partly informed on everything that was collected the previous year and how that changes, how that is factored into the new projection for the following year. So basically, if there's a little bit of an over collection for a previous year, that this can factor into the following year's collection. So we're decreasing King County's FAC is decreasing by this amount, just small amount for this 2025 cycle. And then interestingly, the disposal rate has actually increased by 10%. Whereas last year it decreased, so it kind of went back to the previous per ton rate that we saw in 2023. So around 165.1 per ton. So on the same topic of rates and kind of the purpose of the FAC, as a reminder, FAC is not only to address diversion that's happening in King County. The King County is definitely a diversion forward county, but also, Mercer Island certainly is as well. And we'll talk about that in a second here. The FAC in part also funds some of the recycling programs that the county has. So just to make a note of that. And one of the things that Recology focuses on with the city, just in response to increasing rates over time, just the fact that trash as a utility can be, it can be expensive if someone is not diverting waste, if they solely have a trash service, right? Like that can definitely add up for a business or for a resident. So we work with the city to make sure that people have ample information about what is recyclable, what's compostable, and actually trying to move the needle and making sure that people are subscribed to services, and also reducing their trash as they increase their recycle or compost service. In the city of Mercer Island, there is a component related to waste diversion within the climate action plan. So just a direct quote of the goal here, that the city of Mercer Island would like to reduce community waste and the greenhouse gas emissions associated with the consumption and disposal of goods and materials. So there's definitely, multiple goals that contribute to that overall mission. Some of the associated targets are slated for 2030 and some are for 2050. So we're working in partnership with the city to make sure that we can increase diversion, get to that percentage. I believe the first goal for 2030 for diversion percentage is 70% of all waste being diverted from landfills. So the city's getting there. We're at around 60% right now overall, which is definitely exemplary when you compare to some of the other cities in the state of Washington. So great job, Mercer Island. And I will also say in the state of Washington, we've had multiple organics management laws passed recently, which basically mandate businesses, food service businesses, signing up for a compost service by certain thresholds, depending on how much organic waste that they're producing. So we're working with the city to make sure that all of those businesses, have been reached out to and have the right resources to implement that service if they need to. Still, and the city itself has, definitely invested, not only working with Recology, but also, building that program out and making sure that there's, like I said, ample resources for businesses. So kudos to the city. And I'll just add a note here about our messaging. I've said it a few times now, but basically if you're reducing your trash volume, you're able to save money. And we like to share that out with folks, not only on one-to-one outreach, but also our annual guides that include rates. We bring that up as well, that it's a good time for people to evaluate what their service needs are. And think about it in terms of diversion, because in addition to saving money, it's also very good for the environment by recovering materials, reducing greenhouse gas emissions that are caused by landfills. So getting into some of the details with outreach that we have going in Mercer Island, for the single family side of things, we are constantly in multiple different ways promoting waste diversion. We've got Recology store workshops that we are advertising out. So the most recent ones in 2024 were in February, May, and December. And at these workshops, we teach things like how to mend old clothing, and then also how to use sustainable practices for gift giving. That one of the most recent workshops we had actually in this winter time was teaching people how to wrap with the furoshiki method. So you're using a upcycled textile and making a beautiful sort of gift wrap. So we continue those workshops and advertise those out for all customers. In addition, we have bill insert and educational campaigns. So promoting compost, best practices with using compost service, also reminding folks that they can go to the Recology store to drop off hard to recycle items such as styrofoam, electronics, appliances, and the like. We also have multiple community tabling events, which I will talk about in a moment as related to Mercer Island in 2024. And we offer quarterly public MRF tours. So I invite you all to go out to the MRF, but also your fellow residents are welcome as well to come out on our public annual rolling basis, but also we offer private tours as well. So moving on to multifamily and commercial, a way that we're able to work with properties is by providing technical assistances. So a component of that is teaching folks how to right size their service, teaching them about what is recyclable, what's compostable. We offer door hangings at multifamily properties specifically. So do you see this image here with the blue bag and some of the flyers in there? So that blue bag is a way to reduce plastic bag contamination in the recycling bin, because we see that a lot of times at multifamily properties. So that bag is reusable, and it also has education on what is recyclable on it. So we provide those out. We provided that to 50 units in 2024 in Mercer Island. And just kind of as a diversion metric for you all, just to keep in mind, there's 96% of multifamily sites set up with recycling service at this time in Mercer Island. So that's a really positive thing that you can pat yourselves on the back for as a city, because there are definitely instances where people might be behind the curve, and that's not the case for Mercer Island. Moving on to commercial outreach, I mentioned technical assistances. We do that for commercial properties as well. So again, teaching what can be recycled, what can be composted. We also provide training, so free on-site trainings to any businesses that will let us come out and talk to their employees. We also provide presentations as well, basically going over if there's specifics that a business is needing additional education to their employees on, we can even detail that out and sort of customize that. So we did 5 presentations in the city of Mercer Island this past year, and then 12 site visits and TAs. So overall, between 2024 and 2023, we saw a 20% increase in recycling subscriptions, and then a 36% increase in compost subscriptions. So that's basically people or businesses signing up to receive that service and start using it. So that's great to see that jump in the last year. And I mentioned we've got multiple events that we attend in the city of Mercer Island. So this past year we attended Leap for Green. On the 20th of April, we were also in attendance at Summer Celebration in July. And we also attended the Mercer Island Farmers Market and the Holiday Makers Market, which both of those we are sponsors of currently in the city of Mercer Island. So that picture over there is from this past December. Madison was out working with residents, talking about how to divert waste and promoting the Recology store as well. So thinking about this upcoming year, 2025 that we're in, we will definitely be in attendance for Leap for Green again. Summer Celebration is in our calendar. We love coming out to the farmers market, so we will be in attendance as well, and we'll be sure to continue promoting the Recology store workshops, where we'll cover multiple topics and basically providing tools to residents on how to reduce waste. And like I've mentioned, we will be continuing outreach to businesses and to multifamily properties to increase food waste diversion, make sure that people are aware that food can go in the green bin, increasing access to that green bin for folks. And then in the region, we will be adding 2 Recology stores. So in the city of Redmond, we'll be adding a Recology store in the fall, and then the city of Maple Valley as well. So those will be accessible to Mercer Island residents. So anybody who's a resident in Mercer Island, if they work in those cities or if they frequent those cities, they could come out and drop off hard to recycle items. They can, pay their bill at the store if they need, or get customer service questions answered. Another exciting project we will be completing this year is our North Hauling Yard. So definitely multiple components there that will be beneficial for service, including a paint booth that we'll be launching, additional maintenance bays for trucks, and then just overall it's a new yard. So all the things that come with that, housing trucks and things. And I mentioned previously, we've got our MRF enhancements we're working towards, and then also adding technology to our vehicle fleet, kind of working with those updates to kind of best serve customers. And the last piece here, we have additional folks being added to our outreach and customer service teams to just kind of address continuing needs of residents and businesses. And with that, I will take any additional questions, and I'll thank you again for having me here to talk about how the year went.
Thank you, Alyssa. Since we have no action required for the presentation, board members, do you have any questions or comments you want to raise right now? Councilmember Jacobson.
My question may or may not be directed at ecology. I'm not sure. On the back of the reverse side of the report, it indicates that we have a goal of 70% reduction in material waste to the landfill by 2030. And I have several questions about that. Item number 1 would be, against what year base are we basing that 70% on? And question number 2 would be, where are we now in terms of percentage of waste diverted as of the end of 2024?
Go ahead, Alana.
Alana, I'll let you jump in if you like.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm happy to take that one. So that's in the climate action plan. The 70% is not in comparison to any other year. It's just 70% over that year. So diversion is generally tracked kind of on a monthly basis, really. And we currently sit around like upper 60%. I would need to have a report in front of me to see the latest number, but island-wide, we're very, very good overall comparison to other cities. Specifically, residential waste is pretty well diverted. Commercial and multifamily is where we kind of see lower numbers, but the 70% is actually very achievable by 2030. So
Was that an annual goal? Or?
So the 70% is just by 2030 that we hit a 70% diversion, and we can kind of, like I said, track that on a monthly basis. So we're pretty close to it now. But
And what is the base against which we measure that?
So the diversion rate is tracked based on how much total waste we're generating and where it's going. So diversion is anything that goes to recycling or to compost service as a percentage of the overall tonnage that's going off the island to the landfill, to the recycling, or to compost.
So it doesn't measure garbage?
That's included in the total, but that's basically counting against the diversion.
Board member Milton.
Yeah, just to add, I guess, one thing to that last question. So you're saying that the target would be 70% of all waste would be diverted as recyclable or compost, such that only 30% remaining was going to landfill.
Exactly.
So it's two absolute 30% and 70%.
Mm.
Okay. And then my other question was just on the residue portion, the 10% residue portion of what's currently being, I guess, intended to be diverted, but I guess that last 10% doesn't actually make it because it's garbage. is there any sort of a breakdown in terms of what is the stuff that people are most commonly putting into the recycling that ends up having to be extracted from the recycling waste stream and actually just thrown away?
That is a great question. I can tell you that the number one contaminant that we have is plastic bags and sort of film plastics. Paired with that is just people throwing bags, just opaque bagged material into their recycling bin. So that opaque bagged material, oftentimes we treat that as that is trash because that's what people use to throw their trash into. Those are kind of the main ones, but there's, could be anything from, dirty textiles, dirty materials that have been placed in. There's a lot of miscellaneous items that get put into recycling bins. One of the things that we like to share with people when they come out to see the recycling facility is that anything that you can use your imagination to think of that would fit into a recycling dumpster, we've probably seen it at the MRF. So you could think of anything, and it's very likely that we've seen that at some point at the MRF. So there's definitely a learning curve, certainly, but we are always working on that and making sure that, we can provide those, at least the basics for folks. Because part of it too is sometimes people are new to the area, people come from all over the state. Even on the east side of the state, you might not see as a robust of a recycling system as we do have over here. And then certainly internationally, if someone's, coming into the state or even somewhere from a different part of America, right? They have a totally different idea of what recycling is. They might not even know what recycling is. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay, thank you.
of course.
Board Member Lair.
Thank you. Alyssa, I have two completely diverse questions. One is there any way that you are able to manage to evaluate not only, response time and all that sort of thing with customer service, but actual quality of the answers? I've had mixed experience with the answers, but personally.
Okay.
And my other question is, I know sometimes this might be more a question for Jason. I know sometimes the city partners with Ridwell and does kind of what I would call extra special recycling types of events. And is there any thought of partnering with Ridwell? They have a kind of mixed plastic bag pickup that they'll do for extra money. That's kind of all of these mixed plastic bags that really otherwise I gather are garbage.
Thank you for the questions. I will start with your first one. Basically, how do we evaluate the quality of answers that customer service is providing? So one metric that's useful for us to just kind of see how things are going in the city is definitely that customer satisfaction score, but also we do have a leadership team within the customer service department that is able to basically vet calls and basically after a call happens, look through and see how that went and, word for word, minute for minute, evaluate those calls. So that's especially useful when we're hiring new staff, because those maybe are the ones who are more vulnerable to saying something that could provide a mixed review, like you said you might have experienced. So we certainly go back and review calls to make sure that there's sort of a quality control aspect that's met, and just constantly mentoring with maybe newer employees to make sure that they're aware of details that they might be missing.
And then Alana, do you want to touch base on the Ridwell piece?
Yeah, so to answer the second half of your question, last year we actually did 2 events with Ridwell, one in June and one in October, to have them pick up plastic film and styrofoam. We're looking to continue those events with them this year. We chose the plastic film and the styrofoam predominantly based on kind of Alyssa's answer to the question about the contamination. The plastic film is truly the biggest one, and that was one of Ridwell's first offerings that they service. So we're looking to maybe add new things, kind of shift based on where we think we can help divert the most extra material. So it's definitely something I'm happy to kind of talk with them in our next conversations.
Yeah, because my understanding from Ridwell is, plastic film, there's plastic film, and then there's these multi-layer plastic bags, like, that are a whole different thing that I hate to have to be throwing away, but can't find another way to get rid of. So
yeah, that's definitely a unique offering that they have and is something I myself like to take advantage of. And just as a side note, these events that we've been doing with them have been free for the community, which is an important part to try to get people excited about
Right.
it. So
Right. They've been terrific events. Actually, I'm very pleased to see them.
yeah, but
I have a question. Alyssa, I was trying to think back to this report last year, and my sense is, without pulling the presentation up, is that the performance metrics have improved. At least that's my sense from what we heard this time last year. So my question is, one, is that true? How is performance trended compared to last year? And if it has improved, what's been behind that?
Thank you for that question and comment. We've definitely seen improvements across the board. Like I said, we've kind of increased our recruitment efforts, especially for having more drivers as a part of our team. And then also we've increased our customer service staffing quite a bit. Paired with that, we've definitely looked at our training processes, kind of adding in some more training for customer service. And I mentioned with newer drivers, if there's a need for them to learn more about what it means to be a garbage truck driver, we've definitely responded to that more and thought of creative ways, kind of in tandem with that CDL program, like I mentioned, that we have for folks. So basically, overall, I think the answer to your question is we've increased headcount in multiple areas. We've increased efforts to make sure that the quality of that headcount is basically up to par to make sure our operation's going smoothly. We're just kind of always looking to improve.
Excellent. Thank you. And thank you for the report tonight. Are there any further questions or comments from the board? All right, hearing none, I think we can move on to the next agenda item. Jason, remind me, do we excuse Alyssa at this point, or what do we normally do here?
Yeah, so the Recology team, thank you for your presentation this evening. You can certainly stick around if you want, or we're happy to have you guys go. It's totally up to your discretion. But our next two items, I'm going to sort of combine the two items together. We have the planning schedule and our next meeting. So usually at this time of the year, we have a draft work plan that we have in front of the utility board that outlines the course of action for the calendar year. We are currently still working on that draft work plan, and part of it is tied to the new supply or transmission line the city is working on for our water system, and how our touch points with SPU regarding that contract amendment will play into the overall work plan, because there will be involvement from the utility board regarding that project. And so we will have that draft work plan for you guys at the February meeting to sort of walk through the rest of the calendar year. But to be expected, you can expect to talk about rates in the fall. You can do the chair and the vice chair elections usually in June. Those are pretty standard practices. We'll do the Recology meeting again at the end of next year, the first part of 2026. And then we're going to fill in the rest of the work plan with a lot of transmission and supply line discussions tied to SPU contract amendments. And then we're also going to probably talk quite a bit of sewer because our sewer capital program is pretty extensive over the course of the next 2 years, and some different touch points with that system as well. So that's what's on the horizon. Again, we'll have that draft work plan for you at the February meeting. We are planning to meet in February. The next meeting is currently scheduled for February 11th. It will be a Zoom hybrid meeting again. And the plan will be to have Confluence Engineering come in. We're going to provide an update on some of the resiliency and reliability work that's taking place in the background. Part of it's tied to the transmission line and what came out of the transmission line, but also the emergency well and what we're sort of working on the water utility side and our improved reliability actions that are in front of us. So that's what's on the docket for the February meeting again, and then we'll also have the work plan for you all to review in February. We will look to take. Yes, go ahead.
So are the meeting dates set, but it's just what's going to be at each meeting?
Yeah, so you can plan on the second Tuesday of every month to have a meeting.
Okay.
We'll probably pre-program those now. There may be a couple months in there where we don't have a meeting. Usually we take August off, and there may be another month, maybe the first half of the year, where we don't have a meeting just based off of timing with some other things. But you can pretty much pre-program in the second Tuesday of every month for the rest of this year to have utility board meetings.
Okay, that's what I needed to know. Thank you.
And we'll make sure we get an invite out to you all for it. We've had some staff transitions on our end within our administrative team, so we're sort of juggling that as well. So apologies for any issues tonight. I suspect that a couple of folks that aren't with us tonight are because we didn't perhaps send it to their personal emails as well as their city emails. But we'll circle back with them and get it sorted out for the next meeting.
Thanks, Jason. And yeah, hopefully you can work through the staff issues soon. Okay, I think that represents the end of regular business then. Board members, is there anything else, any other business to discuss or items to report? Okay,
Nope.
well then as Jason said, if there is no more business, as Jason said, the next utility board meeting will be Tuesday, February 11th at 5 p.m. via Zoom. The time is now 5:49 p.m. and this meeting is adjourned. Please stay seated until city staff has terminated the broadcast. Good night and thanks for joining us.
Thank you.